Hey everybody. So it's day 6. I'm leaving Illinois now. So I left the Walmart there in Streator, Illinois at 4:30 p.m. 4:30 p.m. and I have about another 6.5 hours to go to get to Independence to my buddy. I left later than I should have. I left about 3 hours later than I should have. But, I regret nothing. Again, it was a cousin. When it's a cousin you haven't seen in 37 years, and it's a cousin you get along with really well, and, your family, I can't say that we were ever close-knit because we, distance, but the thing is, like, whenever we get together, it's as if, like time hadn't been a factor, right? So it's like we picked up right where we left off from the last time we seen us, and, we just reminisced, and we, told stories and got along and laughed and cried and all that stuff, and we are, just, I think we just kind of grown a little closer as family because of, these past couple days. It's been amazing and extraordinary, and, wouldn't trade it for the world. Wouldn't trade, anything for this. It's like I'm exactly where I need to be, right? It's in this moment, in this time, everything that I've endured, everything that I've suffered through, right? It was necessary to get to this point. And so I don't really feel the need to harp on anything negative, right? Because I'm still flying high, absolutely flying high from just this epic adventure that I've been on, all the positivity that has come from it. I mean, I'm soaring. I'm in a very positive place mentally. And while I'm missing Rochelle terribly right now, because, distance is such a thing, and that's the part that sucks, the distance. And but she's got a good life here, and I am blessed to having met her husband. I'm blessed to having got to spend time with her, and we are family. We are family. So I've had a blessed couple days, and I'm looking forward to going home. I'm looking forward to seeing Thad again, my buddy in Independence. I'm looking forward to seeing Laura again, his wife. We're friends too, but I've known Thad for, a little bit longer than her, I guess. Come to think of it. I think I've only known Thad just a few months longer than her. Really? I don't know. Anyway, so, unfortunately, not unfortunately, because it's 440 miles from when right before I started this video. It's 440 miles that I'm traveling, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but Google Maps, yes, I know I'm still using Google Maps, says it's like, it was like 6.5 hours at that point. And when you're leaving Streator, Illinois at just after 4:30, well, you do the math. I'm probably going to get there at 11. I told them I would likely be there between 9 and 10. And unless I can speed demons somewhere through here where I can pick up, some extra miles faster and shave some time off, it's probably looking closer to about 11. And I am so terribly sorry, Thad and Laura, but I am sure that you understand family reunions, and especially when these reunions are nearly 4 decades in the making, so I apologize for arriving so late. And I'm saying this because I know that they will be seeing this video at some point. So, but it's been a great adventure. It's been a great journey. I can't wait to get back home to restart my life, rededicate my life to being a more positive person and doing good things. And here's hoping that I will always remember this adventure, and I will always remember this positive experience and draw on it when there are times when I'm down or I'm depressed or I'm just wallowing in negativity. I can reach deep down and look and remember that it wasn't all bad in Kentucky. I mean, there are some things that really pissed me off about being there, obviously, but you can't cry over spilled milk. You have to just move on and endure and be better for it. So there were some good things that I had that had come my way when I was in Kentucky. Met a lot of good friends along the way, and I'm blessed for the time that I've spent in Kentucky.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto the I-39 South, US 51 South ramp to Bloomington, normal.
Yes, dear. So, Rockford, as in like Rockford Falls, Illinois. I know.
Turn left onto the I-39 South ramp.
At any rate, I'm rabbit trailing again. I'm so sorry. I'm just kind of like trying to collect my thoughts, and I probably should have collected those thoughts prior to starting to film, but that's
In a quarter mile, merge onto I-39 South, US 51 South.
That is that's the thing about these videos, right? They're not prepped, they're not spit, they're not polished, they're not pristine, they're not professional, right? It's like, I make no qualms about being a professional influencer, because I'm not, right? The whole
Continue
purpose,
for 41 miles.
Thank you. The whole purpose of these videos that I do, the whole purpose of this series is just to keep people informed, people who care, to keep people informed on my progress when I was coming out to Kentucky and my progress when I'm going home to Oregon. It's, I'm not looking to monetize these videos, because quite frankly, I don't think I'm that interesting. But it's really more of a place where, instead of texting this person, I'm here, this person, I'm here, a million times over, dozens of times over, because a million times is like exaggeration, that here's one central location that I can collect my thoughts. And the other thing is, like, I can always go back in the future, look back in time at where I was, how I was doing, what I was feeling, and all that other good stuff. And so, like a few minutes ago, I just said, I hope that I always can draw on the positive experiences that I'm having from this epic journey. And the beauty of doing videos and posting them on YouTube, not only is it for content for all you who witness this, but it's also for me to look back and be like, I'm telling the future self now, hey, don't be a moron. Don't be negative. Praise God for everything that happens in your life, the good and the bad, because you're probably learning something. You hear me? You're probably learning something. And that's never a bad thing. That's a good thing. You know, so anytime we're still on this side of the dirt, that's positive forward momentum. So I don't know who needs to hear that message, and possibly it's I need to hear it for my future self. And so here's me. I'm in my present now, but in your future, watching this, I'm in the past. So here's present, past, telling future. God, I'm a moron. Look to the bright side of everything. Keep positive in all things. And lean on the Lord with everything. Lean on Him with your fears. Lean on Him with your praises. Lean on Him with your worship. Lean on Him with, hey, I got that A in science class. Praise Him for that, right? Lean on Him when calamity strikes. You've gone through a natural disaster, a death in the family. It's easy for me to say that, and I get it. It's easy for me to say that now, and and inadvertently come across as trivializing your pain. But and I know it's hard. It really is. It's easy for me to say when I'm not in that place to tell you to buck up and lean on the Lord because He will see you through it. But I've been there. I've done that. And I haven't exactly been the shining example of leaning on the Lord when calamity has struck. So this is also a good reminder for myself in the future to, it's a matter of public record now, right? That you just keep plugging on. You keep trucking on. You got to keep on keeping on, right? That's all these little euphemisms I'm saying. At any rate, this journey has been a blessing. It has been an absolute blessing. And it has opened my eyes to the positive things in life. So that's a good thing. I guess you can kind of equate it to how, and I don't know because I'm not Muslim, but like when Muslims go when they sojourn to Mecca, right? It's in part it's supposed to be a spiritual experience, right? And I'm not trying to be blasphemous or being, disingenuous or insulting to Islamic people. I'm trying to equate that what they go through when they go to Mecca, it's a spiritual building journey for them, right? And in a way, returning home has been more of a spiritual building journey for me than it was when I left Oregon to go to Kentucky. While I enjoyed that trip, I loved the hell out of that trip. I saw amazing things, and everything was just cool. And I felt excited and giddy and blessed at some of the sites that I got to see. You know, there's that and then some on this trip. I mean, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, you know, driving across country, Indiana into Illinois, and then spending a couple days here, and now going back to Missouri. You know, it's a stepping stone process, right? So when I left Kentucky, granted it took me through Ohio, Pennsylvania, and then I dipped back down into West Virginia, but the plan was to go Kentucky, West Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania to New Jersey, so that from there I could go from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania to Ohio, Ohio through Indiana and into Illinois, and then from Illinois to Missouri, and then from Missouri to Kansas, if at all possible, and then from Kansas to Nebraska. And then it was the journey home from there. After Nebraska, there's really nothing else. There's really no other sightseeing to do after Nebraska, other than when I left Idaho. So when I crossed from Idaho into Wyoming a year ago, as I was coming eastbound on the westbound traffic, just right behind me, there was this big, huge bust of Lincoln. And I don't know what the significance was of that. I don't know what significance or what contributions President Lincoln had to the state of Wyoming or the state of Idaho. But being an avid, I love history, and Lincoln was one of my favorite presidents of our nation's history. I kind of want to go check that out. So, I mean, other than that, there's really no other sightseeing that I want to do. At that point, I just want to go home. I just want to get back to Oregon. I just want to get back to seeing my sister, seeing my niece, seeing my best friend, seeing other family, other friends that, I can. Getting back to the grindstone of finding work, and then after finding work, getting my own place, and then going forward, stepping forward in the right direction towards building that business that I want to start. It's a costume prop building business I've been wanting to do for a while now. I have hemmed and hawed long enough. I have kind of put it off long enough. Part of it was that Pit Viper Studios was in business, and I never wanted to be of any kind of competition to my good friend Lynn. I love you, buddy. You're a dear friend of mine, and I never wanted to take anything away from you or your family by competing with you. And like I've said, there's this other cat out there, Redmond Studios, and I'm giving him a shout out because he was decent enough to buy the business from Lynn and to continue on the orders that Lynn had left outstanding, which I think that's pretty outstanding of him. can't be that bad of a guy, right? But at the end of the day, I don't know Redmond. Redmond's not, we're not partners, we're not brothers, we're not friends, but we're not enemies either, so I want to make that clear. I don't see him as an adversary, I don't see him as an enemy, but at the same time, it's like, I have no loyalty towards him when it comes to prop building. I wish him well and wish him great success in his prop building, and I hope that he would reciprocate the notion of wishing me well and knowing that my prop building, I'm getting started in it. So like, it could be a dismal failure, I don't know, but you never know until you try. But the thing is, like, I'm gonna give it my honest go, and I'm gonna give it good on the college try, as it were, and to see what I can come up with and see if I can be successful at it. And while we will be playing in some of the same genre, well, I also want to do things that aren't in the same genre. So while there's some props that will be similar, I assure you that I will not ever recast. That's a no-no. I will never order something from Redmond, copy it by molding off of it and then creating new widgets from that. I will never do that, right? That's theft in my book. Never do that. That's just wrong. I'm never going to do that. However, I will build, I will tinker, I will toil, and I will try to create a widget that is similar in design, but is not a flat out ripped off reproduction of anything he produces. So that is my solemn commitment and my solemn promise to him, man to man, fan to fan, artisan to artisan, that while I will be a competitor in the prop building world, I won't be a thief. Flat out, I won't be a thief. So that's my promise to everyone in the costuming community that I hope to interact with and help support. That's my promise to them. It's my promise to other artisans, builders, and whatnot, is that this is a unique hobby, and it's my goal to promote all the positive aspects of said hobby. So that's my passion. That's what I really would like to do. And if I could be successful in that regard, if I could make that my business, where I don't have to work a 9-to-5 or the proverbial 9-to-5, if I never have to work at, say, Home Depot or some factory or somewhere else, but I could work out of my home and make eke out a decent living, and just, that would be cool. That ultimately, that would be, I would need a lot of grace and blessing in that regard. And so that's what I'm kind of hoping for. And that's, I want to give it a try, and whether I succeed or whether I fail, it's the adventure of it. It's the learning new things, doing new things, and just living life. That's part of living life. So, anyone who's watching this, and I'm sorry that I've droned on for 24 minutes, anyone who's watching this, I hope that you're getting a sense that, I really am a changed man. Or at least, I am in the process of changing for the better. I'm in the process of changing for the positive. I'm sure that there are going to be issues that pop up in the future, and I'm sure there's going to be there will be issues in the future that pop up and make me revert back to some negative place. And I'm hoping, I'm praying to God that doesn't happen. I'm hoping and praying to God that I will have grown and matured physically, mentally, spiritually into a new man, a better man, and hopefully, a more likable fellow. So, I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life. I've done just complete moronic things. I've just been, I've hurt people. I've not been a good person. And, I've always often said that, I always talk about my stepdad, Bob. Bob West was an amazing human being. He was an amazing man. He, not without his own faults and his own little demons that he had to deal with. I mean, because nobody's perfect, right? Dad was not perfect either, but Dad was, he was a special human being. He really was. I wouldn't be the man that I am today without him. I lost him way too soon. He died way too young. He was only 49. A diabetic, smoker, a chief of police who was working on his second divorce, my mother. And, life just got to him. I wish he were here. I know that, there are certain things in my life that would never have happened had he still been alive, because, I never would have steered down that path, obviously. But, that's the whole shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Then you can't live life on shoulda, coulda, woulda. At 47 years old, nearly 48 years old in 20 days, I've kind of come to the point that everything, it's so cliche to say, but it's true. Everything happens for a reason, right? Everything happens for a reason. The reasons sometimes are bad. But even in the bad, there is good that will come out of it if you certainly seek it and find it. That which does not kill you does make you stronger. And I've seen that time and time again throughout life, right? And at my lowest points in life where I would scream at God and I would say, look, man, I am not like Job, right? He was such a stronger person than me. He had such a fervent faith in you, and that his faith was unquestioned. His faith was unwavering. After all the turmoil and all the shit that he went through, right?
There's a speed trap ahead.
He still remained true and loyal to you. And while I'm not saying that I'm not going to be true and loyal to you, it's just I'm just sick of the shit, right? I have been in those. I was doing 80 miles an hour and I just passed a cop, and he's just sitting there. So once again, thank you. He's not turning around, so I guess I'm good. But the point is that there have been times where I have said, I am not this guy. I am, he's a biblical character that's meant to, when you read his story, it's meant to inspire, right? It's meant to, encourage that when, that you're down on your luck and, the deck is stacked against you, that to never give up and to always persevere. And I've had to learn that lesson several times over, right? Because I remember one time Dad told me don't ever blame God for losing your brother. My older brother passed when I wasn't even 4 yet, right? But I vividly remember him. Don't ever blame God for losing your brother. Okay, Dad, I'm not going to. But, you know, when Dad died, I did blame him. And I was very resentful. I was very hateful. And, you know, I really didn't, you know, I tried going to church a couple times after my dad died. It wasn't for me. I was never someone who said God does not exist. I don't believe in God. I've always been that guy that was like, I'm pretty pissed off at him, and I ain't gonna follow someone that I'm pissed off at. And that had always been my attitude, you know, growing up until my early 20s. And the thing is, like, when I rededicated my life to him, I had realized just how much of a pinhead I was being. When I quit drinking at age 25, I realized just how much patience he had shown in me, right? Because all those times where I told him to, you know, to F off, all those times where I told him I didn't want him around, I wanted him to just leave me alone, all those times, like, you know, he was like, okay, well, I'm going to be right over here, and I've got all the time in the world. I've got time.
There's a speed trap ahead.
No, I think that was a few miles back. So, from his perspective, he has all time. We have a finite amount of time on this planet, in this life. Best to make good use of that time. You know, there's a lot of people that think it's cool to be a gangster, it's cool to be an outlaw, it's cool to be, you know, I want to live life, I want to be debaucherous, I want to be lecherous, I want to do, because that's fun, right? I can't tell you how many people I have come across who have said, you can't have fun being a Christian. Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. You know what? God gives you so much freedom. He gives you so much freedom to choose. All he asks that you do is just choose righteously, right? And there's nothing wrong with being righteous. There's nothing wrong with being good for the sake of being good. Like, you know, if you are doing good works because you're hoping to get a good reward out of it, then you're in it for all the wrong reasons, right? When you do something nice for somebody, you don't do it because you think you're going to bank up, you know, brownie points with the guy upstairs. You don't do it to, you know, pat yourself on the back later. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You do it because it's just what needs to be done, and you don't think a second thought about it. Now, is it true that, you know, that what goes around comes around? I believe that. I believe that it very much is true that when you do good, good will come to you in due time, when it matters, when it's absolutely necessary. If you're looking to go do a good deed in the hopes that you're going to have some good karma come back your way at your earliest convenience, well, that's not how the world works. It's not how fate works. It's not how life works. You know, it's the Rolling Stones said it best. You don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And there's something truly powerful and prophetic about that little lyric right there. You don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. And that's the best way I can think of to sum up how God metes out blessings to his children It's how he metes out justice to his children. It's how he just, provides for his children. Again, I'm often reminded of my stepdad, right? And there's something to be said about that because, as fathers are supposed to be reflective of, if they're doing their job right, they're supposed to be like the physical manifestation or the physical example of God's love for us, right? So you don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need, right? My stepdad was the living embodiment of that. I remember going to an auction with him one time, and I saw this toy, and I really wanted it, and I asked Dad to get it for me, and he bid on it at first, and he was outbid, and I'm like, Dad, you're letting it go. And he's like, nah, that's too much, right? And what it came down to was, I really didn't need that toy. I just wanted it because it looked cool, looked different. It was, and in all likelihood, it was probably something I would have played with for a week and then just discarded it. And Dad would have spent all that money for what? Nothing, right? Dad had the presence of mind to know that, I really didn't need that toy. It was a need versus greed kind of thing. It's all you MMO players out there. Need versus greed when it comes to looting off of an instance that you're playing. I didn't need that toy. And if Dad had got me that toy, it wouldn't have fulfilled the need category for me. It would have fulfilled the greed category. So, I'm rabbit trailing because I'm flying high, and I'm sorry that this is a long-ass video, but it's like I'm driving a long distance. I have no one to talk to, so I can pray to God, which I do sometimes when I'm driving. I could talk to you guys and just know that I'm in a good place, and I'm happy, and I'm blessed, and I'm grateful that you all are sharing in this adventure with me. Whether it's you're sharing in the here and now along the way, or whether you take the time to actually watch these videos in the near future or in the distant future, that you're like, oh hey, I kind of want to see where did Bill go next, or how is Bill doing next, because I know there's a few of you that are watching, not in real time obviously, but as I post, you are you're following my journey, and you're following how I'm progressing. So I'm kind of grateful for that. And thank you for being on this journey with me. Thank you for those of you who do. I thank you for the prayers that you send on my behalf. I thank you for the good vibes, the good energy that you send my way. I just appreciate what I think I have 16 or 18 of you now. My cousin said there was 18. She thought there was 18 subscribers. I don't know, but I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you for tuning in and bearing with me. Again, 40 minutes now. So I leave comments open. You guys can comment all you like, and some have in other videos. Comment and tell me what you appreciate and what you don't appreciate about these videos. I don't know. This is really it's a video log for a reason, right? It's not only for others to see my journey, but it's for me to also go back at some point and reflect and be like, oh hey, looking at I mean, realistically, looking at the...
In half a mile, keep right at the fork to
my
continue toward
demeanor-
I-55 South.
Looking at my demeanor from when I left for Kentucky versus my demeanor going back home from Kentucky, I mean, I think it's safe to say that I am...
Keep right at the fork.
I'm a completely different man. I am...
Continue on I-55 South for 8 miles.
I'm a completely different man, and I'd like to think that I have changed for the positive, changed for the better. So that's only a good thing, you know, and that's thanks largely to the work that God has done in my life, the situations that He has put me in, the you know, the sights that I've seen, the people that I've interacted with, the friendships that I have forged. You know, all those things were contributing factors to me in my my mental health and my spiritual reawakening and the healing from my divorce. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say that it was all my fault, but I can say that I am to blame. I'm partially to blame for the breakdown and the failure of that marriage, obviously, because, you know, I have my part in it. But anyone who thinks that I should be taking full responsibility for it, like it was all my fault, I did everything, you know, I'm sorry, that's not realistic. You know, it's not realistic at all. You know, they say that it really takes two to make a marriage work, but it only takes one to end it. And that was definitely the case here. I went to marriage counseling. I tried to save our marriage. I tried to prove to her that, you know, I could be relied upon to do what was necessary to fix our marriage. And she gave up. You know, I'm not knocking her. I'm not disparaging her. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm not saying she's an evil person. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not speaking ill of her. But the truth is, she did give up on us. She gave up on me, and she threw me away. And it's taken me a long time to kind of come to terms with that. And I'd say I'm probably about 80-85% there as far as, you know, coming to terms with that. I mean, am I disappointed? Am I upset that my marriage failed? Yeah, absolutely. Because I loved her, and I loved her, and I loved those kids, and you know, there's always going to be a place in my heart for all of them. You know, I loved her parents, I loved her cousins, you know, that I got to know. I mean, I loved that family, but you know, like the lyrics go in that one Van Halen song, "The Dream Is Over." But that's the thing about dreams, right? Where one dream ends, a new dream begins. You know, because like you have this really epic dream, you know, in your nighttime sleep, and then you wake up from that dream, you go face your day, and you don't redream that same dream the next night. Right? And you dream another dream. And then rinse and repeat. Another dream. And then another dream. And another dream. And so that's the thing, is that, you know, while this dream is over, there's still a whole lot of life left ahead of me. There's still a whole lot of good that I can possibly do, which means there's time for another dream. So we are going to do that. We are going to dream another dream, because that dream is over. And you know what? I think I'm finally to the point where I can say, and that's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that dream is over. That chapter in my life is over. And now I'm turning the page to an unwritten new chapter. And here we go. So this message has been brought to you by God, I was going to go like all stupid and Sesame Street, brought to you by letter whatever and number whatever, but it's kind of a new philosophical side to me, I guess.
In half a mile, keep right at the fork to stay on I-55 South.
Cool.
Follow signs for St. Louis, Springfield.
Thank you. Now be quiet. So, but here's the downside, right? Like, I have 4+ hours, or I had 4+ hours to get to,
Keep right at the fork to stay on I-55 South.
Yes, dear. I had 4+ hours to get to Independence, Missouri. And here's the thing, is like...
Continue for 65 miles.
Okay, be quiet. This video is now almost 48 minutes long, which means how much of my battery did I just burn on my phone? Think about that one for a moment. But I regret nothing, because this has been a good conversation, right? And I'm hoping that those who are patient enough to go sit through and watch this whole video, that it's been a good conversation, and it's brought about positive influence and a perspective that will lift you up, build you up, and encourage you, because that's ultimately, in this latter half of my life, because I'm at my midway point probably, in this latter half of my life, like, my sole focus anymore is like, I just want to lift up and encourage others. This world is too dark and ugly to, put others down. It's always better to lift people up and just, leave this place better than how you found it. That's what I always say. At any rate, I mean, again, I've been babbling for 48 minutes, and apologies if you're just like irritated by the fact that I droned on and on and on. Sorry. I hope that there's something in the message that someone needs to hear, and it's a positive experience for them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get off this video. I'm going to continue on my journey on the freeway here. I'm going to turn Google Maps off, because what did it say? Something like I had like 40 some odd miles to go. I really don't need to have the app running in the background. I'm draining my battery. So, I mean, I was at like 85% or something like that before I started this video. I can only imagine when it's at now. So hopefully I won't have to stop somewhere and try to charge my phone so that I have enough juice to get to Thad's place, which would then make me even later yet, because as it is, like, I'm probably not going to get there until 11 o'clock. I don't know. With that, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, be encouraged, and like the judge told my dad when he was in Vietnam, keep your chin up, put your head down. So with that, I will undoubtedly talk to you all again soon. So this day 6 has been a good day, concluding with Illinois, concluding with my visit with my cousin, and on the road going to Missouri, because I'm over the halfway point of getting home. So there is that. So be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Keep your chin up, your head down. Happy trails, and I'll talk to you soon.